in Evansville. Now, we do have some breaking news coming from Brian Inton. You can see it here. There was a wild police chase. Brian Inton is there on the scene for. Some people are suspecting that Brian and Casey White was a part of it. Listen, I've been a part of seeing cars on the side of the road, as have you. How many times when there's just a car on the side of the road like that have you seen an FBI jacket? I would have a little inkling to say, have the two of them been captured? Has Casey and Vicki White been captured? I would safe to say that that's a fair question in use now. I would say that that is a fair question that we can start to begin to ask now. Breaking news from a verified Twitter source. Fox 59 confirmed that the search for Alabama prison escapee Casey White and Vicki White has ended in Evansville, Indiana. So that is breaking news coming to you now. Confirmed with multiple law enforcement sources. The search confirmed by multiple sources. The search is over. Casey and Vicki White are captured. Wow, wowza. Very interesting. Again, breaking news coming out of Evansville, Indiana, confirmed by multiple sources that Alabama prison escapee Casey White and jail administrator Vicki White have been captured. And we have some footage from Brian Inton that is showing, and it's crazy to me that Brian Inton's in Evansville, Indiana, which is a place where I've spent a lot of time. We have this footage. It looks as if that was a getaway car that they were in. Kenneth, thank you so much for that super sticker. I honor you. I honor you. I honor you. Happened live on the air. We got, how crazy is that? I wasn't planning on coming early today, and as soon as we come on, they end up getting captured. Confirmed that they are captured. Casey and Vicki White. That is crazy. See on that footage, you can see the FBI sort of standing around that vehicle there. It's clear that something was happening. I've been a part of lots of little incidences like this from a passerby standpoint, and I've not ever seen the FBI on the scene. The suggestion is that they were in this vehicle, that they were doing a police chase. There was a holdup at the Motel 6, I guess, that they had been found. My assumption would be, since they were in a car, that they are alive. It doesn't look like that would be the type of an accident that would create, at least in my opinion, I guess I would say, a fatal injury. It's possible, but I would say that accident there just would produce some bruises and scrapes. It looks like the vehicle just turned over, unless it rolled several times, which we can't see that, but wild police chase in Evansville, Indiana, it appears, have led to the capture of Vicki and Casey White. If any of you guys want to call in and just chat this up with me, I put the link in in the stream. Would love to have your thoughts and commentary as we are working our way through unpacking this together. This is crazy to me that this is happening live. A police chase, Brian Ensign on the scene, Fox 59 confirming with multiple law enforcement sources that the Alabama prison escapee Casey White and jail administrator Vicki White are captured, and it ended today in Evansville, Indiana. Now, when we think about Vicki White herself, I have absolutely no clue why she ended up in that boat that she ended up in. It's me absolutely crazy that she decided that she would, for whatever reason, take off with an inmate, cash in her life savings, sell her house in a short sale, not follow through on the day of her retirement, all for a chance at love. Totally doesn't make sense to me. And now she'll be paying for this behind bars probably for the rest of her life. And you know what she did? She unleashed to society fear and panic in a way that shouldn't have to. I mean, Casey White is a dangerous criminal, a dangerous criminal. And the last thing that we need is a confessed murderer on the loose for society to have to be worried about. So I have absolutely no clue why she did that. Absolutely no clue. I'm keeping in touch with the local Evansville news, and according to verified sources, Channel 44 News, Alabama fugitives Casey White and Vicky have been captured in Evansville. This is confirmed now by the local Evansville police. This is the Vanderburgh County Sheriff's Office. It says that Alabama fugitives Casey White have been captured. So they're driving on Highway 57 in Birch Road. There's not very many details at this point, but we're keeping you up to date as much as we possibly can. And I'm telling you guys, I am refreshing as much as I possibly can on this, but it is confirmed that they have been captured after pursuit and crash. So as soon as more details continue to come out, we will be sharing that with you. Hey, Kirsten, how are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing well. So what a crazy end to such a tragic tale of Casey and Vicki White. And to me, it doesn't look like, as we're looking at the footage of the police chase, that they really have probably suffered any injuries, but it certainly isn't a
Possibility. Yeah.
I mean, it certainly is a possibility for sure.
But also, they could be looking for weapons or any other materials that they could use for evidence, probably.
Oh, I'm sure they're doing that without a doubt.
And my heart sank when I heard that she was part of it, because I was hoping that he just captured her.
I know.
Because
when she had the double alias, whenever she had intentionally sold her house, when you go down the list, she was so intentional about every little part of it. It's absolutely heartbreaking.
It is. I feel sorry for her kids. I mean, it's a ripple effect. Mm-hmm.
It's not a good situation for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I just pray that I hope they get answers, but you never know, with these things.
I bet they wish they didn't go to the car wash. So to keep people up to speed, part of the reason that they were caught was Vicki and Casey White today stopped in Evansville, Indiana, at a car wash in a stolen truck that they had stolen from Tennessee, apparently. And then apparently they had abandoned the truck, and then they got in this car, ended up at a Motel 6, and then in some kind of a police chase that ended really badly for them today. And it is confirmed that Vicki and Casey White are in custody of police. They have been captured.
They should have looked at the Kohl's receipt to see if it was the same clothing he was wearing in the car wash. That would be interesting to see if it was the same clothing. Because that's one thing when you were mentioning, is it him? I wonder if it's the same clothes that she bought at Kohl's.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I'm going to go now to a live video over on News Nation where they are doing a press conference releasing some of this information. Thank you for calling in, Kirsten.
What I'm very thankful for tonight is that no one
let this play, but thanks for calling in.
No citizens were hurt. No law enforcement officers were hurt. as a result of this escape. Casey White is now back in custody, and I cannot express enough to the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force for the assistance they've been in this. Their agents are actually the ones that were involved in the pursuit. And my team of investigators who work diligently alongside the U.S. Marshals Task Force, all the other partners and players in this, the least of which is not the media. You guys have made this happen. You've kept this story out there. You've kept it on everybody's mind. And the tips, what led us to the arrest and the capture of them today was a tip that came from citizens. And they call those tips in because of the coverage y'all have provided us. You don't know how much I personally appreciate the way y'all have helped us in this case. We got a dangerous man off the street today. He is never going to see the light of day again. And, that's a good thing for not just our community, but that's a good thing for this country. So thank you very much for your help. I'll be glad to take a few questions.
What's the nature of Vicki White?
Don't know. Just know she's been transported to the hospital for treatment. There was a wreck. I don't know if the wounds are related to the wreck or not. I'm sorry.
Are they found in the same vehicle that was seen in the pictures that were circulated today?
I'm sorry?
Were they found in the same vehicle?
Yes, I think so. That Ford F-150.
What's the connection to Evansville, Indiana? Why there for that?
Don't know if anything particular drew them to that town, but that's where we got the latest tip, which came in late last night, I think, or last night. Followed up on it first thing this morning, and they were able to get some leads there, and it led to their capture.
Where exactly did the chase start?
Where did the chase start? I'm not sure. My understanding is that they had located them at a hotel, and they spotted them, ran, and the pursuit ensued.
Sure. We spoke to some of the folks that called that tip in up in Indiana, and they said they had actually alerted local law enforcement last week on Tuesday about that abandoned truck, and that it's taken several days for all the tips coming in to be able to get through those, get down the list. Was there something last night that changed your idea about why it might actually be a real sighting of Casey White?
No, I'm not aware of the earlier tip.
Sheriff, when will they be brought back here?
Not sure. They'll have to be extradited if they don't waive extradition. That can take some time. Of course, court proceedings involved in that. Over here, I heard someone over here.
Will they actually be brought back here, or
yes.
The connection is it just too deep to?
No, they will be brought here. He has to be brought back here, and she does to face arraignment on the new charges. He is charged with escape. She has multiple charges on her now. They will have to be brought back here for arraignment. We've already made arrangements with the Department of Corrections. He will be brought here for arraignment. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning, it doesn't matter. The judge has agreed to come out. He will be arraigned and immediately transferred to the Department of Corrections.
Are you concerned about Vicki White coming back to this detention center since she worked here?
She will not be she will not be confined in this detention center.
Sheriff, what, if anything, at this point would you like to say to Vicky, perhaps?
I hope she survives this. I don't know the extent of her injuries. I hope she survives it. We don't wish any ill will on Vicky in terms of her health or her well-being, but she has some answers to give us, and hopefully we'll have the opportunity to get those answers.
Was there any kind of struggle?
Not that I'm aware of. I think it was just a pursuit. They wrecked and they were taken into custody. I understand he surrendered.
Were they found with any guns or?
I haven't got that information. I'm not sure.
How was she injured?
Don't know. I don't know if it's a result of wreck or if it's some other kind of injuries.
Is there any indication, Sheriff, that one of them shot themselves during this chase?
Can't confirm that. I know that no law enforcement officers fired any shots for sure.
Sheriff, the eyes of the country, people across the world, in fact, have been watching and following this manhunt, from here in Lauderdale.
Said that they cannot confirm that it was a gunshot.
And now,
so one thing to keep in mind, if you guys are just now tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Vicky and Casey White have been taken into custody. Vicky White has been transported to a local hospital, which is very important. Many people are reporting that she has a gunshot wound. The sheriff says that they can't confirm it was a gunshot wound, but it does appear as if she had tried to shoot herself. Unfortunately, that does seem like they were saying. It seems like she did try to shoot herself.
They had plenty of resources, had cash, had vehicles, had everything they needed to pull this off. And that's what made this last week and a half so challenging. We were starting from ground zero, and not only that, we were they got a 6-hour head start on us. So it's been a very, and this just speaks volumes to the effectiveness and the efficiency.
There is some technical glitches on their end. They don't have great signal.
This is what they do. They track down fugitives, and today is obvious that they do it well.
Is there any reason to believe they had help in their escape?
No evidence that I know of that there was anyone else involved other than Casey White and Vicki White.
Someone going to get the money?
That I don't know about. That's not my deal.
It's not in yet. Keeping quiet. Do they have anything to say once they're in place?
I have no idea. They're obviously in Indiana, and I'm here, so I don't really know what's going on as we speak. But
Are you all sending folks to Indiana? Do you have people up there?
the U.S. Marshals are up there. We will probably wait until they get back here. I don't see any need in us sending someone up there because they'll be brought back here. And now if they don't waive extradition and are up there for a while, we may end up sending a team up.
Can you talk about lessons learned? We've talked over the week about protocols that are in place for your employees, but will there be changes or lessons that you learned?
Well, the lesson that I think I've learned, and I think everybody's learned, you don't know who you can trust. I had every bit of trust in Vicki White. She has been an exemplary employee. And what in the world provoked her or prompted her to pull a stunt like this, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know. But, you as a leader, you've got to have people in place in these key positions like she was in, that you have confidence in, that you have trust in. And when they violate that trust, I don't know how you can predict that. We had the policies. A policy is a piece of paper. It can't prevent anything. A policy is there for me as a leader to take disciplinary action when a policy is violated. I can't predict when someone's going to violate a policy. One more time, I've learned that you just don't know people sometimes. You think you do, and you really don't know who they are.
How would you compare this moment to some of the other events that have happened in your tenure as sheriff?
Not just my tenure as sheriff. September of this year will mark the 50th anniversary of me beginning my career. I've never experienced a week like this in my career.
Sheriff, you've been in contact with Pat Davis, Vicky's mom. Over the course, you had one sheriff that you said was kind of your liaison.
Yes.
Have you spoken to her since the capture?
I have not. That deputy has had her own.
I want to transition to WFIE. This is Evansville, Indiana, as they're talking to a local sheriff there after the inmate and former deputy were apprehended.
That appeared to be related to the Alabama escapee and sheriff's office employee that had fled the area. As we were working on this today, we gained information that a vehicle matching the description of a suspect vehicle was near our sheriff's office. So the U.S. Marshals Task Force and deputy sheriffs went to the area. Soon thereafter, the male and female fled in a vehicle on Highway 41 northbound, went past Highway 57. As you can see, they turned here on Birch Park Drive. They came through this grassy area. The Marshals Task Force officers intercepted them, actually collided with them to try to end the pursuit. When this occurred, the female driver of the vehicle shot herself, and the passenger was injured, not too seriously. They've both been taken to local hospitals to be examined for their injuries. Her injuries are very serious. I don't know the true extent, but I want to commend the Marshals Task Force for being here and working diligently with the Vanderbilt County Sheriff's Office to put two bad people and get them off the street.
Are these the Whites from Alabama?
Yes, they are. It is.
Yeah. She's still alive.
She's still alive.
His condition?
What's that?
His condition?
He seems to be okay. She's in pretty serious shape.
Do you know where she was shot?
I don't know where she was shot, but it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Do you know where the pursuit first took place and where?
It was Highway 41 south of St. George Road is where the pursuit initiated.
Any indication on how long they've been in Evansville?
We can't clarify that at this time until we speak to him. We know the vehicle that was recovered had a date of May the 3rd. It's hard to believe that they've been here that many days, but we were lucky that we stumbled upon them today.
Yeah, the car wash surveillance photos were from the 3rd. It's only speculation, of course, at this point, but why would people on the run stay in Evansville for 6 days?
Well, they're criminals. Sometimes they do things that are unexplainable. But in this case, I'm glad they did.
Yeah.
How did law enforcement catch eyes on them? Was somebody calling in, or did law enforcement just catch them?
A member of the Evansville Police Department observed the vehicle and thought that it could have matched the description of the vehicle that we've been looking for, and that's what we went to investigate.
So the vehicle that's found at the car wash, was that impounded? The blue Ford?
Yes.
Okay. So they changed vehicles?
Now, you guys don't remember the media.
They changed vehicles to a Cadillac?
Okay, so anybody here?
Was it a Cadillac that was eventually stopped in the crash?
No, as you can see, it was this vehicle it looked like a truck, wasn't it? Was it a truck?
Oh, it's a Cadillac.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. It is a Cadillac. That was stopped. I'm sorry. I didn't see it. Okay. Yeah.
Would you like to come up and speak?
Yeah. It was.
We'll just let the sheriff handle it for now. I know he's planning on doing a press.
Can you talk about the cooperation between the various law enforcement agencies to get this done?
Yeah, well, probably one of the best federal agencies that we work with is U.S. Marshals Task Force. They do a very good job. They supply a lot of resources and personnel to us. And when we have serious crime that needs to be addressed, we can usually handle it through the Marshals Task Force in our office. And the state police is involved in that, and Nashville Police as well. So it's a very good multi-member law enforcement agency.
From when they responded initially to whenever the crash happened, how long was that?
Very short period of time. From the time we initiate the pursuit until the time it ended was less than a few minutes.
Do you think there were other accomplices that may have
Well, I'm sorry. We don't answer. So.
With this, and obviously this has been national news, has there been other ways that you guys have prepared for this? Were you guys expecting? I'm sure you guys weren't.
Well, anytime you have people that are on the run, you're notified and you're keeping a watchful eye on any suspicious activity, suspicious vehicles. In this particular case, one of the suspects being 6'9", that's good for us because he wasn't a normal sized human being. So it was an easy target for us.
Whenever criminals are on the run, even we in the media, even the regular Joe citizen wonders, I wonder if they come our way. When did you first get the indication that they might be coming our way?
Well, after the vehicle was located a while back, we at least knew they may have been in our area, but I couldn't believe that they had remained here.
Did they resist at any point when they were in the car?
Oh, no, once the accident occurred, that they no resisting.
How long from the time that vehicle was found at the car wash until it was determined that was probably their vehicle? How long?
I don't know the time frame that they developed the lead that was probably related.
How many weapons were found in the car?
What's that?
How many weapons?
Just one so far, but we haven't really looked through the vehicle yet. We're going to get a search warrant for the vehicle, and we'll examine it later on this evening.
Sheriff Wedding, there were previous reports. I'm with 44
on the other
end of the camera. Sorry. There were previous reports from Casey White saying, he was ready to go all out. He was even, asking for law enforcement to shoot him. Are you surprised that it was Vicki White who pulled the trigger?
Well, once again, with criminals and criminal minds, they're very unpredictable. We don't take anything they say with any merit that they can change on a dime, and this was a perfect example of that.
was Casey who was driving?
Well, it was the female who was driving. Yes. The main thing is we're lucky that no law enforcement was injured, no innocent civilians were injured. The pursuit was short in nature, and we have both people in custody.
Sheriff White, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, going to bring in Brady Williams, and you heard it right here.
All right, let's pop on here real quick. We're actually going to go back to Lauderdale County, Alabama. It looks like they're going to talk to their sheriff. We just heard him at a press conference. Again, Vicki and Casey White have been apprehended. Those were the two individuals, one a former deputy, one an escaped inmate, had been on the run for 11 days. They've been apprehended. Real quick, while I have you here, we don't have the sheriff talking quite yet. I'm going to bring him up in just a second. I'm going to monitor him, but I want to show you real quickly what we learned in those past two press conferences. Lauderdale County, Alabama officials confirmed both Casey and Vicki White have been apprehended. A Sunday night tip led to their arrest within the past hour. Vicki White is the only one of the two that's been injured, and they're considered serious according to police. They did not clarify if they're life-threatening.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to get right back to that sheriff's press conference that's happening in Lauderdale County. If you're brand new here, I want to just invite you to like the video and just welcome you to our channel. Thank you so much for joining. We've been covering this story since the beginning, pretty in depth. Here is that police officer again.
To get the Lauderdale County Sheriff ready. So we're going to go back. Instead of flip the screen here, we're going to go back out to WFIE's coverage as they are talking to another official. I'm going to go back to their coverage just for the second. And as soon as that Lauderdale County sheriff starts talking, we'll go back to WAFF in Huntsville.
Officer who is accused of trying to help him escape. And that's been going on since April 29th. That's when the jailbreak happened. That's how long this has been going on. The most curious thing about this, and we asked Sheriff Wedding about it, was why on earth would two people, high profile, two people on the run, stay in Evansville, Indiana, apparently at least 6 days, because the photos that we've been showing from that car wash on South Weinbach Avenue were taken on the 3rd of May, and this is the 9th of May. We're going to gather more information out here, Jack, and I'm sure we'll have much more soon.
The good news there and the takeaway there, both are in custody, and so the search there is over. Randy, Brady, we'll talk to you soon, and we'll be right back.
All right, so it looks like they've gone to break there in Evansville, Indiana. That's WFIE, our great TV station. They're doing a wonderful job with that coverage. So they are where these two people, Casey, Vicki White, were found after a car chase, and they were found near Evansville, Indiana, not in the community, but in the surrounding community. So our station WFIE has been covering that. First, after this news broke, you heard a press conference from Lauderdale County Sheriff, who's about to, I think, talk to our great TV station in Huntsville in just a couple of seconds. And you also heard great reporting from WFIE in Evansville, Indiana. This is a shot of what they are covering. This is the actual scene where Vicki and Casey White were apprehended. We don't know all the details about this particular situation yet. Some of it's still being confirmed. We do know that Vicki suffered an injury. They're calling it serious, but they say at least now they don't know if it's life-threatening. It's not been categorized as that. They're just calling it serious. Police officials in Evansville are at this time. All this follows, first of all, an 11-day chase, and then a tip last night that let, you may have even seen the headlines, that let officials know. I'll bring up our interactive center here as well. In fact, you know what, Mike? I got you walking over to the screen. I'm going to go ahead and bring. It's my time to shine, Ryan. I'm going to bring you on here, my co-host and producer, Mike Bell. In the meantime, I want to make sure we have an eye on this actual site. Mike, going to bring you on here. Let's recap the past 11 days while we have a moment. We're waiting for the Lauderdale County Sheriff to speak about this situation. We heard from him earlier. He's about to talk to WAFF in Huntsville. If you don't, yeah, go ahead and recap for us these past 11 days.
Right. So, yes, of course, Ryan. So let's start at the beginning because, again, 11 days is a pretty long time, all things considered. Manhunt has ended. Vicki White and Casey White, Vicki on the right here, Casey.
It has been confirmed that Casey and Vicki White were captured today in Evansville, Indiana, after a police chase. Vicki White did shoot herself. There is no report that Vicki White has suffered serious injuries. In fact, the sheriff just came out and said they do not think that it is a serious injury. In fact, they don't think any of the injuries that they sustained was serious, and they're hoping that they're going to be able to get some answers out of her. So at this point, the escaped inmate and ex-deputy are in custody, both of which have been transported to the hospital for treatment. When they leave the hospital, they will not be transported back to Lauderdale County. At least Vicki White will not be transported back to Lauderdale County. And whoever's reporting that CNN saying that she had passed away, that is not verified. I've got a tab on CNN. I'm tracking all of it. No one has verified that. They said that she is still living, and they do not think that it was a serious injury as far as life-threatening. It's serious condition, but not life-threatening. That's a little bit different.
The gunshot wound, how serious that is, we don't know, but the authorities did say it's they didn't say it's life-threatening or not life-threatening, but they did say it's kind of serious, I believe, during the press conference.
Mike, you're doing a great job here. I want to keep an eye on. We got 3 feeds, and we're going to come back to your coverage here in just a second, Mike. We appreciate your recapping. WAFF now is going live on Facebook. Charles Montgomery is giving us some insight into this case. We're going to come back, though, to the local news live studio when either Charles isn't talking, when either we have a break with the Lauderdale County Sheriff, or maybe bring the action from WFIE, all 3 of them. But when one of them is live, we want to go to their coverage. So let's go out to WFIE. This is WAFF, excuse me, Huntsville, Alabama. Their digital anchor, Charles Montgomery, recapping this case.
Anything else? Apparently, Casey was driving. That is who was driving the car when it ended in the wreck. And Vicki White, of course, with her serious injuries, she faces up to 10 years of prison with the charges she now faces, and it is just an incredible state of affairs right now. And so that is what we have continuing to develop. And Rick Singleton, he was very, very clear. They want to bring Casey White down to Lauderdale County to put him in court down here in Lauderdale County. And he was very adamant, saying if he has the opportunity to hold him again in Lauderdale County, they will keep him there and not have another breakout again. But again, this is where we started earlier on Monday with the truck, images of the truck being released, and them seeing this truck up in Evansville, Indiana, nearly a week ago. That led investigators of the U.S. Marshal Service up that way to look into that possibility. And by the end of today, they are both, Vicki White and Casey White, now both in custody. And so that is where we stand right now. That is what we have been told over the last 25 minutes. Things have developed so quickly going live up there. And so we will see what continues to come out of this. Vicki White right now in serious condition in a hospital in Indiana, suffering from gunshot wounds that were self-inflicted. And Casey White right now, we did not hear if he has any significant injuries. So we don't know that. He was driving the truck, but we don't know if he's suffering from any significant injuries at this time. So that is what we have right now, and we will continue to update you with the latest that we find here at WAFF.
WAFF, Charles Montgomery, their digital anchor, recapping what we've seen over the past half hour with those dueling press conferences. Right now, we have a look at Evansville, Indiana. This is WFIE's cameras as they are on scene where that incident took place. Both Vicki and Casey White have been apprehended. It seems like that, Mike, you were saying self-inflicted gunshot wound. Am I right in saying that for Vicki White?
Right.
Okay.
With Vicki White, the former assistant corrections director for that county there. So self-inflicted gunshot wound being treated as a serious condition, serious injury, I should say. Meanwhile, Casey White, and again, I feel like this bears mentioning over and over. They have the same last name, Casey and Vicki White, not related, not married. White's a fairly common last name. It's like Smith in some ways. But anyways, from what we understand, they just are not related at all. Singleton, the sheriff there, confirmed that later there was not a scheduled mental health evaluation, I believe, for Vicki, if I'm reading this correctly. Casey White to a mental health evaluation at the time of the escape was when we've seen some of the footage. We might be able to replay it, some of it later. You see Vicki White kind of escorting Casey to a cruiser, basically supposed to go to a mental health evaluation. Very common when you've been convicted of various things, when you have are we getting another interview here?
We might get one here. So go ahead, Mike. You can continue discussing.
Okay,
I just want to show
I was just
this
making sure.
You're fine. This is WFIE. This is Evansville, Indiana. Our crew's on the scene there. They might have another interview with a law enforcement official. And a reminder, we are waiting for the Fort Lauderdale County Sheriff to come speak. We anticipate WAFF in Huntsville is going to have that interview in just a second. We're back here at the local news live studio covering this massive breaking story as the escaped inmate and an ex-deputy have been apprehended following a car chase around Evansville, Indiana earlier today. This is WFIE. Their cameras are on that scene, as you can.
If you're just joining us, breaking news out of Evansville, Indiana. Casey and Vicki White have been captured following a police chase. They were in a truck that was spotted that they'd stolen from Tennessee and then switched over to a Cadillac sedan. Vicki White was driving. It ended up in a police chase. The police chase ended up in a wreck with the Cadillac. Afterwards, Vicki White shot herself. They've both been transported to a hospital, and we are awaiting from any evidence to see the severity of those injuries. However, everything being reported right now is that the injuries are not life-threatening, serious, but not life-threatening. It is good news that Casey and Vicki White have been caught. It's about time that these two, now both fugitives on the run, are taken into custody. And this special relationship that exists between the Alabama fugitive and her and the guard has ended. So she did shoot herself. It appears as if those injuries were not suicide, in the fact that it wasn't successful, but she did try to end her life. It didn't take, I guess. She's still alive, but she was transported to a hospital. So right now we're awaiting another press conference that's going to be being held by the Lauderdale County Sheriff's Office. And so as soon as that footage is up, we're going to get that back on the screen. We're waiting for that. Again, we're staying tuned. I'm checking everything. I'm doing my best to stay up to date with all of the latest and breaking news that's coming out. And the sheriff says that he hopes that Vicki survives this because Vicki has some answers to give the Lauderdale County. He says, warning the crowd, you need to be careful who it is you trust. And I couldn't agree more with that sentiment.
Consider arms and dangerous. Vicki, 5'5", 145 pounds, blonde hair, brown eyes. So again, they're both apprehended at this point. Vicki is in the hospital in serious condition for a self-inflicted gunshot wound, according to authorities. Meanwhile, Casey, we believe, is not injured.
Yeah.
That he is in custody, whether he's in jail or at the sheriff's office or the police station in Evansville. Correct?
Correct. Yep.
So here's the thing. Where did this, here's something, and I should clarify this instead of asking live on air, but this Lauderdale County, Alabama, and this ends in Evansville, Indiana. How far away is that, you think?
Mike, I'm going to look at that real quick. Obviously, I mean, I think
that's a 7-hour trek from one of those locations to the other. So Lauderdale County, where they're at. Again, I'll share with you guys the police from Lauderdale County's press conference.
This press conference. It's a matter of time. What was so challenging about this escape was, most escapes from a county jail especially, they're not planned. They're just sort of spontaneous. There are no resources available, no plan in place about what am I going to do when I get out here other than just run. This escape was obviously well planned and calculated. A lot of preparation went into this. They had plenty of resources, had cash, had vehicles, had everything they needed to pull this off. And that's what made this last week and a half so challenging. We were starting from ground zero, and not only that, we were they got a 6-hour head start on us. So it's been a very, and this just speaks volumes to the effectiveness and the efficiency.
Again, just some technical glitches coming from that signal there in Lauderdale County.
This is what they do. They track down fugitives, and today is obvious that they do it well.
Thank you for the super sticker. Super stickers and super chats are super helpful. Thank you for your support.
Vicki White. That I don't know about. That's not my deal. I have no idea. They're obviously in Indiana, and I'm here, so I don't really know what's going on as we speak. But
Are you all sending folks to Indiana? Do you have people up there?
The U.S. Marshals are up there. We will probably wait until they get back here. I don't see any need in us sending someone up there because they'll be brought back here. And now if they don't waive extradition and are up there for a while, we may end up sending a team up. Well, the lesson that I think I've learned, and I think everybody's learned, you don't know who you can trust. You know, I had every bit of trust in Vicki White. She has been an exemplary employee. And what in the world provoked her or prompted her to pull a stunt like this, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know. But, you know, I mean, you as a leader, you've got to have people in place in these key positions like she was in, that you have confidence in, that you have trust in. And when they violate that trust, I don't know how you can predict that. You know, we had the policies. You know, a policy is a piece of paper. It can't prevent anything. A policy is there for me as a leader to take disciplinary action when a policy is violated. I can't predict when someone's going to violate a policy. But you know, one more time, you know, I've learned that you just don't know people sometimes. You think you do. And one as far as the vehicle description right now, as I said, we're working on trying to see if there are any.
Switching gears to WFLA now.
I'm hoping that we'll get a break in that. But we're no longer looking for the Ford Edge. I also have with me our district attorney, Chris Conley, and he has an update for you on the reward information.
Thank you, Sheriff. After talking with the sheriff, I contacted the governor's office this morning and submitted a
Untitled County, Alabama. And actually, you know what? I'll twist back here real quick as we sign off. This is Evansville, Indiana, WFIE again. The escaped inmate and ex-deputy are in custody following a chase. The ex-deputy, Casey White, suffered serious self-inflicted gunshot wounds. We'll end the stream there. We appreciate you tuning in on Local News Live. I'm Brian Pierce. That's Mike Bell.
Was that impounded, the blue Ford?
Yes.
Okay. So they changed vehicles?
Yeah, you guys got met with media.
They changed vehicles to a Cadillac?
Okay, so anybody here?
Was it a Cadillac that it was eventually stopped in the crash?
No, as you can see, it was this vehicle it looked like a truck, wasn't it? Was it a truck?
Oh, it's a Cadillac.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. It is a Cadillac. That was stopped. I'm sorry. I didn't see it. Okay. Yeah.
Would you like to come up and speak?
Yeah. It was.
We'll just let the sheriff handle
Okay.
it for now. I know he's planning on doing a press.
Can you talk about the cooperation between the various law enforcement agencies to get this done?
Yeah, well, probably one of the best federal agencies that we work with is U.S. Marshals Task Force. They do a very good job. They supply a lot of resources and personnel to us. And when we have serious crime that needs to be addressed, we can usually handle it through the Marshals Task Force in our office. And the state police is involved in that, and Nashville Police as well. So it's a very good multi-member law enforcement agency.
From when they responded initially to whenever the crash happened, how long was that?
Very short period of time. From the time we initiate the pursuit until the time it ended was less than a few minutes.
Do you think there were other accomplices that may have
Well, I'm sorry, we don't answer. So.
with this, and obviously this has been national news. Has there been other ways that you guys have prepared for this? Were you guys expecting? I'm sure you guys weren't.
Well, anytime you have people that are on the run, you're notified and you're keeping a watchful eye on any suspicious activity, suspicious vehicles. In this particular case, one of the suspects being 6'9", that's good for us because he wasn't a normal size human being. So it was an easy target for us.
Whenever criminals are on the run, even we in the media, even the regular Joe citizen wonders, I wonder if they come our way. When did you first get the indication that they might be coming our way?
Well, after the vehicle was located a while back, we at least knew they may have been in our area, but I couldn't believe that they had remained here.
Did they resist at any point when they were when the car did?
Oh no! Once the accident occurred, they no resistance.
How long from the time that vehicle was found at the car wash? Watch this, police.
Switching to live footage straight from where this car chase scene had took place. If you're just now tuning in, Vicky and Casey White were in a police chase today. It ended in the capture of both Casey and Vicki White. Vicki White, at the end of it, suffered from self-inflicted gunshot wounds. However, they were not fatal, and she's been transported to a hospital where she's not listed in life-threatening situation, but instead serious condition, which is definitely different. I'm sure she's being transported to hospital. I'm very familiar with. I've traveled and spent a lot of time in Evansville, Indiana. It's right where I used to live. I've been to every single hospital in Evansville, Indiana, multiple times, so I know exactly where she's at. And definitely, as she is definitely being transported and taken care of, she's not having life-threatening situation right now. This is footage live from the scene where that car chase ended. Just want to honor those of you who've sent a super chat. Kenneth, thank you for sending a super chat a couple of different times. Trying to scroll back and see who else it's Happy Caffeinated Couple, thank you for sending a super chat. Renee, Divine Ranch, thank you for sending a super chat just a minute ago. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. We're trying to bring you the latest update as possible. That is the Cadillac sedan that you see on your screen right now on the left side of that screen that they're trying to get out of the tow ditch. That is the vehicle that Casey White, it's a stolen vehicle, that she was in. I wish the camera guy was be a little more steady. I don't know what his problem is. But that is the vehicle that Casey White was in, Vicki White was in. Vicki White was driving this vehicle in a police chase. Apparently, they had been sticking around Evansville, Indiana, and then ended up in a police chase after staying at a Motel 6, ended up in a police chase from this sedan. Obviously, it's a serious accident, but it certainly isn't one that would be fatal unless something weird happened. But the car is in bad condition. But
all right, thank you again for tuning in. Evans will watch. Try to get this camera positioned well for you guys. We are about to watch the suspect's vehicle be pulled out of the ditch. Again, thank you for tuning in.
that was footage right on the scene there in Evansville, Indiana, as they're pulling this Cadillac that they were in out of the ditch.
And we appreciate all the hard work he's put in. He's had a very difficult job. Our district attorney, Chris Conley, is joining me. And this is the press conference we've been talking about all week that we wanted to call. Casey White and Vicki White are in custody. There was a pursuit this afternoon in Evansville, Indiana. Evansville, Indiana is about 219 miles from here. The U.S. Marshals were in pursuit of a black Ford pickup. I think it was a Ford 150. And Casey White was driving that vehicle. Vicki White was a passenger. During the pursuit, the pickup truck wrecked. Casey White surrendered. Vicki White has been transported to the hospital for treatment. So this has ended a very long and stressful and challenging week and a half. It ended the way that we knew it would. They are in custody. What I'm very thankful for tonight is that no one was hurt. No citizens were hurt. No law enforcement officers were hurt as a result of this escape. Casey White is now back in custody, and I cannot express enough to the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force for the assistance they've been in this. Their agents are actually the ones that were involved in the pursuit. And my team of investigators who worked diligently alongside the U.S. Marshals Task Force, all the other partners and players in this, the least of which is not the media. You guys have made this happen. You've kept this story out there. You've kept it on everybody's mind. and the tips, what led us to the arrest and the capture of them today was a tip that came from citizens, and they call those tips in because of the coverage y'all have provided us. You don't know how much I personally appreciate the way y'all have helped us in this case. We got a dangerous man off the street today. He is never going to see the light of day again. And, that's a good thing for not just our community, but that's a good thing for this country. So thank you very much for your help. I'll be glad to take a few questions.
I love how he's talking authoritatively now. He said he will never see the light of day again.
She's been transported to the hospital for treatment. There was a wreck. I don't know if the wounds are related to the wreck or not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, I think so. That Ford F-150. Don't know if anything particular drew them to that town, but that's where we got the latest tip, which came in late last night, I think, or last night. Followed up on it first thing this morning, and they were able to get some leads there, and it led to their capture. Where did the chase start? I'm not sure. My understanding is that they had located them at a hotel, and they spotted them, ran, and the pursuit ensued.
Sure. We spoke to some of the folks that called that tip in up in Indiana. They said they had actually alerted local law enforcement last week on Tuesday about that abandoned truck, and that it's taken several days for all the tips coming in.
Vicki White did shoot herself, self-inflicted wound. However, it was not it was not a fatal shot. We don't know all the details surrounding it.
Not sure. They'll have to be extradited if they don't waive extradition. That can take some time. Of course, court proceedings involved in that. Over here, I heard someone over here.
Will they actually be brought back here? Or
yes.
The connection is just too deep to...
No, they will be brought here. He has to be brought back here, and she does, to face arraignment on the new charges. He is charged with escape. She has multiple charges on her now. They will have to be brought back here for arraignment. We've already made arrangements with the Department of Corrections. He will be brought here for arraignment. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning, it doesn't matter. The judge has agreed to come out. He will be arraigned and immediately transferred to the Department of Corrections. She will not be logged. She will not be confined in this detention center.
What you see on the screen here, that is the Cadillac that Casey and Vicki White were in. Vicki White was driving as they were on a police chase. It is now being hauled away, and today is a day that many of us for the past week, as we've been covering this case pretty in depth, have been hoping for, waiting for, that Vicki and Casey White would be apprehended. And so they've been apprehended today in Evansville, Indiana. And I think that's really important. It was a local citizen that gave the tip, and it would thank goodness that somebody was able to give that tip and help them out. By the way, thank you guys so much for joining. I just want to honor you. Thank you if you're enjoying the content. I just want to say thank you for being a part of our channel. We cover great content literally Monday through Friday on this channel, and so if you're interested, we'd love to have you subscribe to our channel. We would love that. This is from Evansville Watch Facebook page, a live stream that they have going on right now. Evansville, Indiana is where this came to an end. Evansville's about 7 hours north of Florence, Alabama. They went by way of Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville, Tennessee is about 3 hours south of Evansville, Indiana, 2 hours and 51 minutes, if you want to know precisely, to Franklin, where they were at. So they were ditching the Ford Edge, the orange Ford Edge in Franklin, Tennessee. They stole a truck, drove 2 hours and 51 minutes north to Evansville, Indiana, booked a room at the Motel 6, stole the Cadillac that you see on this stream. And due to local tips, they were able to sort of figure out, the U.S. Marshals were on the scene, they were able to figure out exactly where Vicki and Casey White were hanging out at. And so they were able to do a high-speed chase today That did end in a car accident. You see that vehicle in the ditch. Obviously, it's not super damaged, is dented a little bit, but it's not like what I've seen with fatal car accidents. And so it is definitely unfortunate that it had to end this way. But I don't know about you, but I feel good. I feel good that Vicky and Casey White are now in custody, and it is just absolutely so heartbreaking when you think about the situation. And I don't know what would have got into Vicky White's mind the day, her last day of work, when she is retiring, her last day before she retires, she decides to take off with an inmate. How does that even make sense? It makes absolutely no sense to me. I want to welcome Jamie Jenkins to the Feller fam. Jamie, thank you, and welcome to the Feller fam. We are so glad to have you. If anybody else wants to join the Feller fam, just hit that join button. I put the link in the chat as well. We would love to have you be a part of what we do. Unfortunately, it seems like this Evansville watch guy doesn't have a great signal. I keep having to refresh, or maybe yeah, I don't think he has great signal. It's probably really what's going on. It's pretty noisy too, but they're pulling that Cadillac out of the ditch. And that sun was shining on my face in a weird way, and I hadn't had a chance to put the curtain down. I don't usually do streams at this time of the day, and the sun is already down, so I normally don't have to deal with that. A bunch of shadows on my face. So able to take care of that now for you guys. Patricia says, good timing for your live stream, Tyler. So thankful for your coverage. Thank you, Patricia, for your super chat. I honor you. Thank you for sending that super chat. Thank you for your support of the channel. Super chats are so helpful. What you guys see there is the Cadillac that Vicky White was driving with Casey White as the passenger in a police chase that led to their demise. Vicky White and Casey White are now in custody. The search for Vicky and Casey White is over. The search for Casey and Vicky White is over. No doubt about it. That search is over. And the latest update is that it was a civilian who spotted the stolen truck, turned it in. U.S. Marshals were on the scene. As they got down to the bottom of it, they were able to track them to this Cadillac and a Motel 6. The sheriff, the Lauderdale County sheriff, says that he hopes that Vicky survives her self-inflicted gunshot wound because she has some answers to give them. She was transported to a local hospital for treatment, as was Casey White. The sheriff went on to say that Casey White will not see the light of day again. Will not see the light of day again. That's an important statement, and I couldn't agree more. He doesn't need to. They need to do whatever they can to make sure that this guy is double, triple, quadruple locked down. He is an absolute menace to society, and I don't know anybody who wouldn't agree with that statement or assumption that I have, but he is an absolute menace to society. And so, and honestly, some people are not going to like that I say this, but so is Casey White. After what she did whenever she took somebody who is a confessed murderer, who is already serving 75 years for a crime spree that he was on, probably is a serial killer, had killed other people. Whenever she decided to take him from prison, and on her last day on the job, leave and run off with him. I mean, that's absolutely horrifying, heartbreaking, and scary for everybody in Florence, Alabama, to Evansville, Indiana, and anywhere in between. And by the way, Evansville, Indiana, like I said, it's a town where I've spent a lot of time in. It was about an hour from where I lived in Illinois for the past 5.5 years. The hospitals there are hospitals that were sort of like the big hospitals when people had serious issues. Folks in my church would go to, and I would go there and pray with them and minister to them. And I've been in those hospitals more times than I can count. So I know exactly which hospital they're in. I know exactly what it looks like, and I know exactly what they're dealing with in those hospitals in Evansville. And it's a small town, college town. College is getting out. There's less people in town. There's not, I mean, it's not, I mean, it's basically impossible to have anonymity whenever you're 6'9" and a fugitive in a place like Evansville, because it's such a small place. So it's so surprising that as the sheriff in in Vanderburgh County in Evansville said, like, it's surprising to us that not only did they come to that they came to Evansville, that shocked us, but he said what's even more shocking is they came to Evansville and they stayed in Evansville. So they came to Evansville and then they decided to stay there. That is the crazy part. I don't understand that either. Why would they come to Evansville and then choose to stay there? Absolutely makes no sense. I mean, this is a crazy situation. We're continuing to do our best to keep you updated on it. But honestly, I don't know what else there is to update you on other than the fact that these folks are in custody. These folks are in custody. Here's some scenes of that Cadillac in the ditch. FBI, U.S. Marshals on the scene immediately to get them transported into care. Ambulatory services there, along with many undercover vehicles. You see there even a tow truck, and the police and the U.S. Marshals were Johnny on the spot. They were Johnny on the spot, making sure that this situation was taken care of. Vicky and Casey White have been apprehended. Both are at the hospital seeking medical care. Are you guys enjoying the content? Are you guys glad that we're able to cover this content for you? I'm following to Channel 44 News, which is the local Evansville news station. It doesn't appear as if they've released any video footage, but they will be going live on the air for the 6 o'clock news here in just a second. So I'm keeping my eyes and ears updated on that to make sure that Channel 44 and other Evansville stations and affiliates in that region were able to keep a close eye on. Again, Casey, Vicki White have been apprehended in Indiana. And Casey was asking the police to shoot him. He said he no longer wanted to live. Vicki White pulled out a gun and shot herself. However, that injury that she took was not labeled as life-threatening, but instead serious, which is still serious, but not life-threatening, I guess. It is exactly how it sounds. Everybody appears to think that she will survive that. So if you guys have any thoughts, I'm going to put the link if you guys want to call in into the chat. When you guys call in, if you're new around here, no foul language is allowed on the channel. Respectful. Please be respectful if you call in. We try to be kind to one another. No foul language allowed. Kindness helps the world go around. Some of the value system that we have here. Heroic by the U.S. Marshals to show up on the spot and swiftly take care of business. She has several charges, and according to the Lauderdale County Police, which is in Florence, Alabama, northern Alabama, where they're from, she will not be transported back to Alabama to that detention center, but instead will be put into a different detention center, which is good. That's what we want. They said that Casey is not injured. The report was that Casey was not injured, and so we'll go to that press conference by the sheriff. And as soon as some of the 6 o'clock news comes out, there'll be obviously more reports coming out.
Our district attorney, Chris Conley, is joining me, and this is the press conference we've been talking about all week that we wanted to call. Casey White and Vicki White are in custody. There was a pursuit this afternoon in Evansville, Indiana. Evansville, Indiana is about 219 miles from here. The U.S. Marshals were in pursuit of a black Ford pickup. I think it was a F-Ford 150. And Casey White was driving that vehicle. Vicki White was a passenger. During the pursuit, the pickup truck wrecked. Casey White surrendered. Vicki White has been transported to the hospital for treatment. So this has ended a very long and stressful and challenging week and a half. It ended the way that we knew it would. They are in custody. What I'm very thankful for tonight is that no one was hurt. No citizens were hurt. No law enforcement officers were hurt as a result of this escape. Casey White is now back in custody, and I cannot express enough to the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force for the assistance they've been in this. Their agents are actually the ones that were involved in the pursuit. And my team of investigators who work diligently alongside the U.S. Marshals Task Force, all the other partners and players in this, the least of which is not the media. You guys have made this happen. You've kept this story out there. You've kept it on everybody's mind. And the tips, what led us to the arrest and the capture of them today was a tip that came from citizens. And they call those tips in because of the coverage y'all have provided us. You don't know how much I personally appreciate the way y'all have helped us in this case. We got a dangerous man off the street today. He is never going to see the light of day again. And, that's a good thing for not just our community, but that's a good thing for this country. So thank you very much for your help. I'll be glad to take a few questions.
What's the nature of Vicki White?
Don't know, just know she's been transported to the hospital for treatment. There was a wreck. I don't know if the wounds are related to the wreck or not. I'm sorry.
Hey, Patricia, how are you?
I am doing just great, Tyler. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for your super chat a little bit ago. That's so helpful. And I know you can breathe a sigh of relief, as can many across the nation today, knowing that Vicki and Casey White are taken back into custody. The search for these fugitives is over.
That was quick, in my opinion, compared to some other cases we've been following where they're trying to apprehend persons of interest or suspects. So
Right.
I just cannot get over the absolute not coincidence. You just went live stream, and within a matter of minutes, we get all this breaking news.
Isn't that wild? Because I have something that I have to do this evening, and I was like, it's just like, I really don't want to go live early. I hate having to do that. And then sure enough, it ended up being exactly the right thing, because as soon as I go live and start to talk about this case, sure enough, they're captured, which is insane to think about.
That is absolutely amazing. And since you are the one who has the Holy Spirit lead you, I'm wondering if that wasn't the timing of the Lord for you to just go live when you did. I'm saying,
for sure, the Lord.
Yeah, I believe it. Isn't it something that there they were in Indiana, of all places, and they stayed there for a while. I'm wondering if they had a safe house or either one of them had friends.
It's being reported that she had like a former colleague, someone who worked in the prison that was helping them. And so it's likely that individual had ties in Evansville, Indiana. Evansville, Indiana, like I said, it's a place I've been to hundreds of times. It's a place I went to all of the time whenever I was living in Illinois, because it's right there on the border of Illinois. It's sort of like our big city that we went to, although it's not like a city. But when I was in a town of 3,000 people, it was a city to us. And so it's a small city, but it is a city. I've been there a lot, and I can promise you, a 6'9" dude's gonna stick out.
Yes, and I was wondering when they captured that vehicle after it crashed, if there happened to have been a wheelchair in the vehicle somewhere, or if they left it back at wherever they were staying. Because we've all been kind of thinking.
I think the wheelchair thing was just a hypothetical.
Yeah,
Whenever
it was.
When we saw him on the security cam footage that led to his capture, there was none of that wheelchair. It was him standing next to a truck. So there was no evidence that there was a wheelchair at all. I don't think he was using a wheelchair. I just think he was being careful about being spotted.
Yeah, I think you're right. That it was a speculation that we were thinking because he's so tall. But then you look at him at that car wash, he was walking around, and so, the thing is that not everybody follows this kind of news. And so they may have gotten to their safe place and kind of scoped it out, realized that they can kind of come and go, they thought anyway, and nobody would recognize them. But it looks like law enforcement was really looking at tips. Who called in the tip or gave the tip that they were in Indiana?
So apparently a local citizen saw them and reported it to a local police, and then they were able to get some footage from that car wash and confirm that it was a truck that was stolen. And so they were already looking for that truck. The footage confirmed that it was Casey White, and so the U.S. Marshals were Johnny on the spot, and they weren't expecting Casey and Vicki White to still be in Evansville, Indiana. However, due to the fact that they were able to find him, they were going there to do some research. They were searching out the clues, knowing that couple days prior, that truck was at that car wash. So it really was kind of crazy that they decided to hunker down in Evansville, Indiana, because that footage was a little bit old from the car wash. And so the U.S. Marshals was just going there on a fact-finding mission, not necessarily to find them. And next thing you know, it led them to the Motel 6 that's being reported. That's not confirmed, but that's what had been reported. Led them to a hotel, which led them to a chase with that Cadillac. So clearly they had stolen another vehicle, or maybe even bought another vehicle, who knows, because they have a lot of cash, and then took off on this high-speed chase, which ended up in the ditch. Then they both get out of the vehicle. Casey says, "Please just shoot me. I want to die." They don't kill him. She pulls out a gun and then does a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So,
wow. Well, whoever called that tip in is probably, I'm thinking, going to be the one who gets that reward.
that's what you would think. And I think they're going to be releasing some of that information probably pretty soon, because it's time for that evening news cycle to hit. And I would expect there to be a press conference or even some more pressing information coming out during that time. Although nothing has been indicated about that quite yet, which is kind of interesting. But obviously more people are trying to cover it.
Be, where are you? You're about 2 hours difference from me. It's 5 after 4 o'clock here on the West Coast, and you're what, a little after 6 o'clock where you are, or are you 7 o'clock?
It's 6 o'clock here. It's 6 o'clock in Indiana. By the way, Derek, thank you for your super chat. You said caught 2 guys who simply stole a can of tuna in less than 5 minutes, and it took these guys a week plus to find a 7-foot fella and a lady who waddles. Well, I think the reason why, Derek, and I mean, that's an observation for sure, but I think the reason why is because they were saying this is a group of people who have resources, and people with this kind of resources are the hardest people to really nail down and find in one of these pursuits, because they have enough money to constantly shift vehicles if they want. They have the criminal know-how of how to steal vehicles. And so they had cash, so they were able to, when they could, not be tracked using access cards, digital access cards, or debit cards or credit cards. So it's one of those things where it was like a storm for sure. But thank you, Derek, for that super chat.
Isn't it just really a shame, Tyler, that Vicki White has literally destroyed her own life by doing this?
Yeah.
I look at all the money she got from selling her house. She doesn't have a pension now, even though she put in for retirement. She's lost everything.
That. Yeah.
What's that?
I'm sure she's lost her pension.
Oh, yeah. There's no way. How, this was all in the middle of plotting to help an escapee who was facing 75 years prison. And so she's lost everything. And that may be what triggered her to try and take herself out.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm sure she's thinking like, what would cause somebody to do that anyways? She was the model employee, but apparently the whole time she was living a double life, had multiple aliases, but employee of the year 4 times out of the past 7 years, was the model citizen, was the one that all the other deputies looked up to. And then she's the one who takes an inmate on the run. Who knows what got into her mind, but it is a terrible, terrible situation. And she should be held accountable to it. Think about this. She let a criminal who's a confessed murderer and serving on another sentence for 75 years of trying to murder someone else. And there's plenty, in my opinion, of evidence that he was a serial killer, because there's lots of evidence that pointed him to other people's murders as well. And so it's one of those situations where she knew all of this and decided to have a little crush on this guy and then let him out. A menace to society who's clearly evil and under, in my opinion, levels of demonic influence, and then let him out into society. That doesn't even make sense to me. That's bonkers.
And the
And
other,
she needs to be held accountable.
oh, and she will be. You know, it doesn't sound like it was a fatal wound, so they will do everything they can to help her heal and recover. But I tell you, you know, this just gives me pause. And I think also perhaps everybody that knew Vicky personally, how they didn't catch it, how she was so easily able to hide all of this, to fool even maybe her family, co-workers for sure, that nobody saw what she was doing or figured out any little thing that was a flag to them. And now they're sitting there. I'm sitting there thinking, what if this was somebody I knew? And I trusted this person. I knew this person, I thought. And then she did what she just did. I
Now,
would sit down and reevaluate my trust in people, not to be paranoid, but what did I possibly miss that may have prevented this from even happening?
Now, let me ask you what you think her mom knew. Meg put her mom knew in the comment section. I called out that her mom's interviews were really suspicious. And now that we look back, do you think her mom knew?
I don't think the mom knew. What I do think is that the mom may have witnessed or even in conversations with Vicky, since Vicky was living with her mom over the past, I would say maybe several months, especially the last 2 months, that there were things that her mother saw Vicky doing, or Vicky was saying certain things that the mother was questioning in her own mind. What is this about? Is there something going on? But perhaps Vicky was one of those people that just blows things off, or, you know, wouldn't have answered, you know, with truth. But I think the mom maybe started wondering about some of Vicky's activities. I don't think she knew. I don't think that Vicky said, Mom, I'm going to break this guy out of jail and he and I are going to run off into the sunset. I'm selling my house so I can have all the money and run away with him. I don't think Vicky's mom knew any of that. I think Vicky's mom, I think she was a little apprehensive when she was doing all these interviews, because in her mind, she's replaying, is there something that I should have caught? Is there something she said and I didn't pay attention, or I blew it off? So I think Vicky's mom's mind is, I think during the interviews, honestly, I think that she was trying to reevaluate and review anything that may have shown her that Vicky was up to no good.
Exactly.
Well, that's my take on it so far. I'm hoping that they do come up real quickly with the 6 o'clock news or the evening news updates. And
No one has reported anything else, and it's looking like one of those situations where there's not much to report until they're able to release. And I'm sure they probably won't do it until they've started to unpack everything that's happened. But there's been no report of them being released to the until they're being released to the from the hospital. But it'd be interesting to know where that gunshot wound was at. Where was that self-inflicted gunshot wound at? And according to Yahoo News, Casey surrendered without incident. Vicky suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. And so that is
dear.
pretty serious place to have a self-inflicted gunshot wound. And that's confirmed by the United States Marshal Service and CBS News. And so with that information, you know,
she was trying to do herself in, but the fact that they've kind of said it's serious, very serious, but it doesn't look like it's, it was not fatal. So perhaps they see where it is, with the bullet, and they think, well, we can operate, or maybe the bullet, went out through the other side. It might have just been in an area that may have done some damage to the skull, perhaps maybe the brain. I don't know. We don't know yet. But that they're looking at it and doctors are thinking, well, this is something she can recover from. We've got to help her with that, you know. And so, yeah, it could be within the hour that we hear some update. I don't know that the sheriffs or the law enforcement are necessarily going to hold a big press conference just yet. I think right now what they're wanting to do is be sure to secure that hospital grounds, the rooms, everything. You know, it might even be a partial lockdown in parts of that hospital. You've been to that hospital, you said, so you kind of know the layout, but I think they're trying to secure that property there. And then when that's secured, perhaps have a spontaneous or pre-announced possibly news conference from law enforcement. That's what I'm hoping.
And they may wait, like I'm saying, until tomorrow to release that. But the manhunt for a corrections officer who disappeared last month with an inmate has ended with the two in custody after a police chase resulted in a crash. The officer, Vicki White, had been on the run with inmate Casey White since April 29th. The car driven by Mr. White rolled over and crashed on Monday in Evansville, Indiana, which is about 260 miles from Florence, Alabama, where they were from. And Marty Keeley from the U.S. Marshal Service was there and assessing the situation. Officer White was hospitalized on Monday with a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and according to CBS News, that wound was to the head. Sheriff Singleton says, "We got a very dangerous man off the street today. He is never going to see the light of day again." And finally, I'm glad that he's speaking with a level of authority that I was hoping he would be speaking with from the beginning. The disappearance was not noticed until 6 hours after they had left. And so with a 6-hour head start, they were able to get pretty far down the road. But I'm glad today that the U.S. Marshals were Johnny on the spot. Patricia, thank you so much for calling in.
Well, thank you for covering this, Tyler. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Well, folks, there's not much more to cover from me tonight. I do want to just say I appreciate you guys. Thank you for being on the stream. I bless you in the mighty name of Jesus with his grace, his favor, and his compassion. And I see Jamie. Jamie, I see you down here. I was about to get off, but I'll take a question or a thought that you have real fast.
Jamie, I see you down here. I was about to get off, but I'll take a question or a thought that you have real fast. Jamie, I see you down here. I was about to get a question or a thought.
Can you hear me okay?
I can't really hear you because there's a big echo.
Oh, that's because you're on TV and phone. So do we have any information about the help they were getting in Evansville?
Yes. It's been reported that they were receiving help from another former corrections officer that was friends with Vicki White. And so that's the report, that there was a friend from the Lauderdale County Corrections officer Vicki White was friends with that was helping them escape.
Okay, that was the only question I had for you tonight.
Great question. Great question. Thank you for calling in.
Yep, thank you.
Bye. Well, folks, thank you for being on the stream today. And thank you for those of you who sent a super chat, those of you who sent a gift over on CashApp, PayPal, Venmo. Thank you so much. That's what helps this channel go. We're a crowdsourced channel. We're on a mission, and it takes all of us doing together what we cannot do alone. So I just want to honor Tanya, who sent a gift over on Cash App, and it looked like Barbara had sent a gift over via email too. So thank you guys so much for being a part of the stream, and we come together on 7:30 p.m. Central Time Zone usually. Today we just happen to go early, and it happened to be lucky timing for us. So you can go back and rewatch. Feel free to share this out. Thank you guys for being a part of the stream today.